Hold on tight, Celtics fans, because the offseason just might be heating up faster than anyone expected. The trade winds are starting to swirl around Boston, and we're not just talking about minor tweaks here. There could be serious shakeups coming to the roster that just won it all. And yeah, that's not an exaggeration. This championship squad, as complete and dominant as they looked in the playoffs, might be forced into a reshuffle thanks to the harsh financial reality of the NBA's new collective bargaining agreement. It's not about if moves will happen, it's about when and who's getting moved. Let's paint the picture for you. The Boston Celtics are projected to have the highest salary in the entire NBA heading into next season. That's not just a badge of honor for stacking talent. It comes with real consequences. We're talking about facing severe repeater tax penalties. And to make things worse, Boston is staring down the dreaded second apron of the luxury tax. For those not fully familiar with how brutal that second apron is under the new rules, let me break it down. It's not just about paying more, it literally strips away your flexibility. Teams above that threshold can't combine contracts in trades, can't send out cash, can't take back more money than they send, can't use certain trade exceptions, and they sure as hell can't sign certain buyout guys. It's like playing chess with half your pieces missing, and that's exactly where the Celtics stand right now, about $23 million over that second apron line. So yeah, something's gotta give. The current roster can't stay intact unless Boston's front office decides to eat one of the most punishing tax bills in league history. But with Brad Stevens calling the shots, you better believe he's got a plan. This is the same guy who turned Josh Richardson into Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon, and Robert Williams into Drew Holiday, and didn't blink twice before moving on. From Marcus Smart. He's cold, calculated, and knows exactly what the long game looks like. So no, he's not panicking, but that doesn't mean some tough decisions aren't on the horizon. Now here's the thing, getting under that second apron isn't going to be easy. ESPN's Bobby Marks recently pointed out that there's no single trade that's going to fix this. Even if Boston moved Kristaps Porzingis and his expiring $30 million contract, that alone wouldn't get them below the line. Why? Because there simply aren't enough teams out there with the cap space to absorb a salary that big without sending something back. So unless a team like Brooklyn steps in and takes on Porzingis outright, which isn't likely without a sweetener, Boston's only path forward is making multiple trades. We're talking about a potential salary shedding cascade, a Porzingis move here, a Holiday deal there, maybe even moving Sam Hauser depending on how deep the cuts need to go. But there's more. Even if Boston finds teams willing to dance, they're going to have to convince them to take on these contracts. Something that might require attaching draft picks. And that's where things get really interesting. According to league insiders, moving Porzingis might not just be a salary dump. It might cost Boston a first-round pick just to get his money off the books. That's the harsh reality of his current value. The guy's coming off a rough injury stretch, didn't contribute in the finals, and while the talent's never been in question, his availability always is. For most teams, that $30 million expiring contract is only valuable as financial relief. So yeah, a pick might have to be attached, which stings for a team that's been careful with its draft capital under Stevens. And then there's Drew Holiday, and this one's a little more complicated. On the surface, Holiday is still an elite perimeter defender, a proven playoff performer, and someone who just helped Boston win a title. But he's also on a huge contract with years left. And he's going to be 37 when that $37 million player option kicks in. That makes moving him without taking back equally problematic money tough. Some insiders are even speculating that, like with Porzingis, Boston might have to include a pick to move Holiday. Others are saying Stevens is going the complete opposite direction, setting the price high and asking for a first-rounder back in return. That's bold. That's borderline arrogant. But it's also classic Brad. Let's not forget, this is the same executive who routinely finds value when no one else is looking. Trading for Holiday when everyone assumed he'd land elsewhere? That's Stevens playing chess while the rest of the league plays checkers. So yeah, he might be serious about wanting something back if Holiday's moved. But he's also a realist. If the right opportunity comes up, he'll pull the trigger, even if it means sacrificing short-term comfort for long-term sustainability. Now here's where things get even more unpredictable. Jaylen Brown, that's right. The guy Boston just gave a supermax extension to. The guy who helped lead them to a championship. The guy who's on track to make $60 million a year within a couple of seasons. Under normal circumstances, you don't even think about trading a player like that. But these aren't normal circumstances. If Boston really wants to get under not just the second apron, but potentially under the luxury tax entirely, there's no way around it. You have to at least consider the possibility of moving Brown. Now, let's be clear. No one's saying Boston is actively shopping Jaylen Brown. This isn't about him being on the trade block. But according to credible sources, the front office is willing to listen. And that's a massive shift in tone. It doesn't mean they'll pull the trigger. But it does mean they're open to the idea if the right deal materializes, especially if the landscape changes quickly, which it might. Why? Because the NBA offseason is about to accelerate in a big way. According to multiple insiders, this could be one of the fastest moving offseasons we've seen in years. With limited cap space across the league and a relatively weak free agent, class teams are expected to be aggressive via trade. The draft is going to act as a catalyst, with contenders and rebuilders alike jockeying for position. Kevin Durant's name is already back in the mix. Giannis Antetokounmpo's future in Milwaukee isn't set in stone. The dominoes are about to start falling, and once that happens, a player like Jaylen Brown becomes incredibly valuable to any team that misses out on the bigger fish. Think about it. Let's say Durant ends up in the West and Giannis stays put. Suddenly, Jaylen Brown becomes the top available star on the market. Young, athletic, elite on both ends, and locked in long term. He's not a rental. He's a building block. If the right contender, or even a desperate franchise with assets to spare, misses out on their first choice target, Boston could be fielding calls left and right. And Brad Stevens, he's going to pick up that phone, but don't get it twisted. None of this means the Celtics are blowing it up. They're not in rebuild mode. This is about sustainability. It's about staying competitive, not just next year, but 5 years from now. The NBA is evolving fast, and teams that don't adapt to the new financial structure are going to get punished. Boston's front office isn't about to let that happen. They're going to make the necessary moves, no matter how painful, to ensure they remain at the top. Now, circling back to how Boston might get involved in some of these big-name trades. Think Kevin Durant or Giannis, not necessarily as the team acquiring those stars, but as a third-party facilitator. They've got mid-sized contracts, veterans on movable deals, and financial motivation to make something happen. If Phoenix wants to move Durant to a place like San Antonio or Houston, Boston could step in, help balance the books, and in return shed salary or pick up a prospect. Same goes for other mega deals. Don't be surprised if the Celtics become the stealth operators in the background, making key moves while the spotlight stays on the big-name stars. But let's be honest, Brad Stevens isn't going to help ship Kevin Durant to a rival in the East. That's just not his style. If Boston gets involved, you better believe it's going to benefit the Celtics long-term, not boost a competitor. That's the beauty of having a front office that sees the board from every angle. And finally, let's not forget how this all ties back to one core truth. Boston won the title in 2024, but that doesn't guarantee anything moving forward. The league moves fast. Dynasties are built not just with stars, but with smart decisions in the margins. Brad Stevens knows that. He's proven it time and again. So if a big trade does go down this summer, whether it's Porzingis, Holiday, Hauser, or even Jaylen Brown, don't be shocked. It's not about panic, it's about precision. And the Celtics, for all their recent success, still have work to do. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Rumors are swirling around the NBA, suggesting a potential blockbuster move that could send shockwaves through the league. While the Boston Celtics are reportedly keen on maintaining their competitive edge, whispers from various league sources indicate an audacious strategy that could redefine their roster. The most electrifying rumor gaining significant traction is the alleged announcement of none other than Nikola Jokic joining the Boston Celtics. Yes, you read that right. The reigning MVP and arguably the most dominant center in the game, Nikola Jokic, is being linked to a move to Beantown. While specifics are scarce and no official confirmation has been made, The mere possibility has ignited a frenzy among basketball enthusiasts and analysts alike. This hypothetical acquisition would undoubtedly transform the Celtics into an immediate championship favorite, forming a formidable Big Three alongside Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. The offensive prowess and unparalleled passing ability of JOKIĆ would unlock new dimensions for the Celtics' attack, while his rebounding and defensive intelligence would solidify their interior. The implications for the rest of the league are staggering. A Celtics team with JOKIĆ would be a truly terrifying prospect. However, the logistics of such a move are complex to say the least. It begs the question of how the Celtics would manage the salary cap to accommodate a player of JOKIC's caliber given their existing contracts. Furthermore, the Denver Nuggets, JOKIC's current team, would undoubtedly demand a historic trade package in return, likely involving multiple star players and a plethora of draft picks. While the details remain shrouded in mystery, the buzz is undeniable. Is this a calculated leak to gauge public reaction? A strategic maneuver to pressure other teams? Or is there genuine substance to these whispers? Only time will tell if this truly is the market agitado that completely reshapes the NBA landscape. But for now, the mere thought of Nikola Jokic in a Celtics jersey is enough to set the basketball world ablaze. The coming weeks promise to be fascinating as we await further developments on this potential seismic shift in the league. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.